Okay, welcome everybody. I hope everybody's having a good evening and has had a good week so far. Sorry, I've got stuff stuck all over me. So tonight we're going to be doing a really fun ombre technique. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Julie Brown. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I hope you enjoy tonight. If you're new, then I just want to let you know that please type in comments when you're here, so that I know that you're here and I can see that there's people here. Also, if you like what I'm doing, you can either click on the like button or the hearts button, and that lets me know that you guys like what you're seeing. Also, if you need to ask any questions, again, you're just going to type those in the comment section of questions. So just a little housekeeping. So I'm not really sure with COVID-19, for those of you that are in my monthly Stampin' Up! Class, I'm not really sure what's going on yet. So we may do the kits like we did last month, where I do a class and I send you guys everything that you need, and then I send you also a list of supplies that you will need to purchase. Because of Stampin' Up! Rules, we are not allowed to send you stamped images. So you can follow along with the class, or I can just kind of give you an idea of what type of stamp set that you might need. Hey Brenda, glad to see you're on. So just a heads up. Also, if you are wanting to do the class, you can either comment here that yes, you want to do the class so that I make a kit for you. And then, or you can also, for those of you that are in the monthly group, you can go to the Julie's, or what is it, Stampin' Julie Brown's group, whatever our group is, and you can type in there, because that's a private group, and you can type there and let me know that yes, you are interested in the kit. Those of you that have my phone number can text me and let me know also that you are interested in doing the kit for next month. But I'm trying to get everybody's answer by the 1st of May, so I have time to mail everybody's out to them. And just a heads up, I was going to teach you guys how to do watercoloring. I'm not going to change the card layouts because I've already got them made. But I just saw this morning that one of the things you cannot order right now are the aqua brushes. So if you have an aqua brush already, you're good to go. If you don't, for May's class, you will be able to either use markers or blends and get somewhat the same effect as what we're doing. So just to kind of give everybody a heads up on that. All right, so just really quick, I'm going to get this out of the way at the beginning. Again, for those of you that haven't placed your order yet this month, this is the hostess code for orders under 150. If you're not in the group, if you're in the group, you need to use that hostess code. If you're going to place an order that's under 150, please use that hostess code as well. And you can order at juliebrown.stampinup.net. And please don't forget to check out my Pinterest page, Julie's Creative Stamping, and my blog, stampinjuliebrown.blogspot.com. I have a ton of cards on my blog with step-by-step instructions on how to make those cards. So it would be great if you guys could go visit that. Yay! All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to kind of go over, first I'm going to put this up just so you know. I'm using several different stamp sets that are in the annual catalog. I don't know yet if they're still going to be in the annual catalog that comes out in June, but I just wanted to use some of those. So I'm using the partials and petals, a little lace, and then I am using the well-written dies with those two stamp sets. And then I'll be using the ornate style and tags and bloom stamp sets with the layering circle dies for a different card. So I just wanted to put that up so that you guys knew what I was using tonight, just in case it's something that you're interested in. So let me go ahead and show you. Oh, hold on. I'm pushing too many buttons. I'm going crazy. Okay, so for those of you that have never seen this die set, hey Shanine, this is a really cool die set. It's called the Well Written Dies, and I've actually cut them out so you can see what the words are. But they have so many fun words like wishes, friend, miss, sympathy, thanks, you, And then on the other side, they have birthday, love, groom, hooray, happy, welcome, baby, and bride. So there's quite a few dies that come with this set. And they're really fun, and you're going to see a fun way to use these tonight. So again, there's no guarantee that these dies will be in the new catalog. They haven't given us a list of what is retiring yet. Hopefully we'll get that soon so that we know. But right now, this is what we have. And I think I may have seen a retiring list maybe just the other day that I didn't look at close enough. But anyway, we're going to be using those, and I wanted to kind of show you what they were. And then for the first card, we're going to be using this Parcels and Petals stamp set. All right. So what we're doing tonight is called an ombre style. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. But what I'm going to be using is our Stampin' Up brayers. And again, let me just stick that up there. These come, when you buy them, you get 2 of the handles and you get 4 sponges. I have 2 sets because I usually am, when I'm doing this type of technique, I'm usually making more than 1 card. The nice thing about these sponges is that you can rinse them out and reuse them. You don't have to only use them for 1 color. You can actually wash them and reuse them. But I like having 3 handles when I'm doing the ombre because I usually use 3 colors. So I ended up buying 2 of the sets. And I know they're not really that expensive. And it's a really fun tool to have. And so we're going to show you how that works tonight. All right. So let's get started. So our first card. And what's neat about these cards is they don't take a whole lot to do. So again, for those of you that are just coming in, make sure you comment so I know you're here. And again, that's how you'll answer ask questions. So you only need 2 4x5 1/4 Whisper White pieces, and then whatever card base that you're using. And this is the Melon Mambo. I'm kind of doing some brights and pinks tonight. All right. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is, and I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper, is we're going to do our stamping with Versamark. But before I do that, we have these things called embossing buddies. Hey, Flora, glad to see you here. So with the embossing buddy, it's always good that we're going to be embossing. So anytime you're going to be embossing, it's great to use the embossing buddy. Hi, Terry. Yay, you guys are on tonight. All right. So I put my embossing buddy on the paper. Hey, Carol. Oh my gosh, I've got tons of people popping in all of a sudden. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this stamp from this set on the front. And we're going to pull this off. And I hope you guys can stick with me through the whole thing because I have a really fun, I'm going to show you this embossing technique, and then I have a really quick embossing, or not embossing, ombre technique. So I'm going to bring in my Versamark, and I know this is going to be impossible for you guys to see because I'm doing it with the Versamark, but hopefully when I hold it up, you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to take my first one and I'm going to center it right at the bottom. And I'm going to push it down and make sure I've got pretty good pressure on that. And then I'm going to re-ink. And I'm going to go just above where I was before. And this one I'm going to go a little bit to the left. Push that down. And then again, we're going to re-ink again. And I know you're not seeing anything because this is Versamark, so it's a clear ink, but it's a sticky ink. And you'll see why I need that in just a second. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and clean this off because Versamark tends to make your stamps a little bit sticky. So we're going to clean that off. All right, so, and I apologize because this does get a little loud, but I'm going to bring in our heat tool, And then I'm going to bring in my embossing powder. So if you guys have never used embossing powder, it's really cool. I'll absolutely love it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently pick this up because I don't want to touch anywhere that I stamped. And let me see if I can, I don't know. I think my lights are not going to show. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to see that I actually stamped on it. But you'll see once I put the powder on it. All right. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take this embossing powder. Woo, that's a big chunk that just came out. And we're just going to run that down the page. Now what's nice, the reason I use that embossing buddy that you saw me use at the beginning is it stops the powder from attaching itself to anything but what I've stamped. Now can you see that? Maybe. There you go. So now you can kind of see the design because the powder's on it. So what I'm going to do next, let me move this out of the way so I don't blow it all over to Kingdom Come, is I'm going to heat this up. And I apologize for the noise, but I have to let this run. It's always best to let your gun run for just a little bit before you try to start embossing. And I'm going to try to bring a light in a little closer so that you guys can kind of see the effect. So let's hope this works. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take this and I'm going to start getting as close as I can. Let me see if I can bring this closer. And basically what it does is it heats it up, and you know that it's done because it goes from a dull color to a glossy color. And let me see if I can zoom in for you guys, and maybe you'll be able to see. Don't know. Oh, yep, there you are. Okay, so if you'll watch as I start to do this, as it starts to heat up, hopefully you guys can see it as it changes colors. Hopefully you can see that. I don't know if you can. It just takes a little bit. And then I don't know, let me see. Can you see how it's kind of glossy? And let me show you like from this one to this one. I don't know if you guys can see the difference. Hopefully you can. All right, so I'm probably gonna have to switch this. This does get a little bit warm. So sometimes I have a little clip that I sometimes will hold this if I'm using small pieces. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I think I've got it all, but I'm putting it underneath this light just to kind of make sure I don't see any spots that are not embossed, because this is, and I do kind of see one up in this corner. So there we go. All right. Okay, so now we have it embossed. And I know it's still hard for you guys to see. I recognize that. So let me bring it back out again. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to bring in my 3 colors that I'm using. So I'm using Melon Mambo, and I have a brayer for that. And then I have the Flirty Flamingo, and I have a separate brayer for that one. And then Blushing Bride is going to be my last color. And again, I have my brayer for that. Now, I want to show you something. With this technique, you actually are going to be pushing this onto the ink pad to gather the ink. But when you do that, the ink pad moves. And so, again, you guys see me use this all the time. Here's my handy dandy silicone pad. This is another really good use for it. Because once you, and one other thing, sorry, you want to make sure that you definitely ink up or re-ink your pads if they don't have a lot of ink in them. So, and it's really important that you keep this level, because if you go in at an angle, you can dig holes into your stamp pad. So I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to brush that on. And I'm just pushing on it. Sorry, I can feel some embossing powders. I want to get that off of there. So I'm just going to, and if you're doing several cards, the more, like if you've used this already, which I have today, it's a little easier to re-ink it. All right, so I'm going to come in the bottom, and I want my bottom to be the darkest, so I may have to put a couple of layers. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this brayer, and I'm just going to go back and forth across the bottom of this page. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of keep going until I get it nice and dark on the bottom. And like I said, sometimes you have to re-ink a few times. And you'll see that I'm just kind of starting here, and then I'm kind of moving towards the top, okay? Because again, I want to get it nice and dark on the bottom. Okay, now this next step that I'm going to show you is actually really important because we're switching colors. So I'm done so far with this color. So let me close up the Melon Mambo and move that out of the way. Now I'm going to come in with Flirty Flamingo, but before I do that, I have this little, oh, I don't know what you call these. They're those, they like pick up stuff really good, just a little rag. And it's really important that you go ahead and wipe off any of the ink that is stuck to the embossing, because the embossing resists. And the reason that you want to do that is because you don't want to get Melon Mambo ink in this next color. So now I'm going to move on to Flirty Flamingo, and it's the exact same technique. And again, you'll see that I'm trying to keep this level. Don't go in it because you'll dig up your pads. So I'm just going to do this. And you'll see it doesn't even look like there's a lot of ink on there, but there is. Okay, so now I'm going to come in, and I'm going to kind of start where the other one ended. And again, I'm just going to roll it back and forth. And it is a lighter color, so you're expecting it to be lighter, but you still want to make sure that you've got a good coverage. Let me bring that closer. So you want to make sure you have good coverage on the edges there. Okay, so here I go again. And I'm just going to come in real light, and I'm not pushing hard. You don't need to push hard because it will just go on here for you. And the other cool thing is it kind of even makes a color between here and here. It makes a third color right there. So you could, hey Juanita, you could use just 2 colors because it does form a third color. So you could do this with just 2 colors, but I'm using 3 tonight. All right, and then the last one that I'm bringing in is the Blushing Bride. And I'm going to bring my little cloth back in. And make sure that I wipe off, because I'm going to be, especially this area right here, because I'm definitely going to be touching this area with the Blushing Bride. And I want to make sure I haven't left any ink on that embossed part. Okay, so again, I'm just inking up my sponge. And I'm going to, and I may turn this just so, and then I'm just going to come in and just catch that just a little bit. And I want it a lot lighter up here at the top. So I'm going to kind of stay down here. I'm just making sure I'm going over the top of what I stamped. And it's okay if this is kind of messy up here. That actually kind of makes it look kind of cool when you see the finished product. So again, I'm making sure I'm getting those edges. All right, so I'm actually happy with that. And again, I'm going to bring in my little cloth, and we're just going to wipe. All right, so far, this is what it looks like. Isn't that cool? So much fun. And this is a really quick card, all right? Now the next step, because I wanted to get kind of fancy with this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere this to the front of my card. And oops, I need to do one thing. I need to turn this over because I don't want the front of my card to get any more of that ink on it. So always be aware of where your ink is. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on, and then I'm going to show you a really fun step with those dies that I talked to you guys about. Hey, Vanessa. So I'm going to stick this on the front of the card. Oh, I'm having troubles lining up tonight. I think sometimes these lights glare in my eyes and it makes it hard for me to see. All right. So there's our card front so far. All right. So now I want to show you another little trick. Stampin' Up used to sell this, and I was so sad when they quit selling it, but I think you can still get this on scrapbooking.com. Hey, Barbara. So these are those Sissics. Basically, this is it's like sticky, okay? And so I have brought in some just that foam, the really thin foam that you can get like at Hobby Lobby. And I'm going to peel this off. So it just peels apart like that. Let me move this up so you can see what I'm doing. And then I'm just going to turn it, and I'm going to stick it on this back side. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And remember, I'm in this corner. So again, I'm just going to peel this apart. And I got this idea because was it last month's or this month's Paper Pumpkin, they had these really fun die cuts in there. And this gave me the idea to do that. And I think I also saw this several years ago on a YouTube video. Okay, so then I'm going to turn this back over. So this side, I'm actually going to pull this piece off. And I am going to put a piece of Whisper white cardstock on here. So I'm going to pull this off. And it leaves the sticky, hopefully. Well, let me rub it down a little more. I want it to stick to the foam. So now let me see if it'll, yep, that's better. Okay, so I'm just going to pull this up. And then I'm going to take my Whisper white cardstock piece, and I'm just going to line that up. Now it left some at the top that is sticky, but I'm going to use some not scrapbooking scissors. And I'm just going to cut this foam basically right where the paper is. I hate using scissors where there's that much glue. I'll have to clean my scissors later. Okay. All right. So there's that step. Okay. So I put the sticky on the back, sticky on the front, pulled it off, and then I put the Whisper white piece on there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in those dies, and I am going to cut out, so remember the dies I showed you. This is one of the best word dies that I've seen because it comes with all of these. And because of COVID-19 and because I miss you guys, I'm going to use the words miss and you. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stick these on here. And I'm going to use a little bit of, every time I look for my washi tape, it has disappeared. I need to bring my washi tape over that I use at my die station. Okay, so I'm just going to stick that there, and I want it to hold in place. And then I'm going to put the miss right there. Alrighty. So there's that. All right, so let me grab my die cutting machine. Okay, so here's my die cut machine. So I'm just gonna take this and I've got the magnetic platform in here, and then I have a plate, and then I'm going to put the new plate. And by the way, I got to see our new die cutting machine for Stampin' Up. It's gonna be here probably maybe the second week of June, but it looks really cool and really fun. So I'm gonna run this through because I have paper and the foam. I'm gonna run this through several times. All right. Okay. So, well, I don't know what happened there. That's not good. My plate must have had a bunch of paper in it. Okay. So now you got to be really careful taking this off, because normally we just kind of take the die off and it's okay if the word comes with it. But this time I want the word to actually stay on here because I'm going to do another fun step here. The first thing I'm going to do is actually cut this right below where the die cut, so I can use this for something later, which we are going to be using it one more time tonight. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my take-a-pick tool, and I want to kind of poke it out of the die, because you know how sometimes if it cuts really good, sometimes it sticks inside the die, and I don't want that to happen. I want it to actually stay right here for now, okay? So there you go. So how did I see the new one? So yes, Brenda, as a demonstrator, you can go see it. If you look, remember how I've told you guys to always look at your messages? Under demonstrator, the announcements that come out every Tuesday morning, there was actually a link to the video for that. So for those of you that are on my team that are on here as demonstrators, you can actually go and see that. So you're just going to go into your demonstrator website, and then you will be clicking on the little bars and then read through the notes, and you'll see them talking about the new die set, and it has a link. Okay, so when we're doing this, anything that has, like this one has an I and it has a dot on top of the I, so always be aware of that when you're doing this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut these apart since I didn't get them like really straight. And I'm going to bring back in my paper. And I'm going to bring back in my Melon Mambo. And I'm actually going to ombre the bottom part of these words. Okay, so there's the miss. And this is the U. And usually you don't have to re-ink for this because there's usually enough ink on here that it will work just fine. Okay. So there's ombreing the words. Let me bring those up a little bit closer so you can see them. That's the word miss. And then that's the word you. Okay? So now I'm going to bring in my card again. Dun, da, da. All right. And I'm going to carefully, because I don't want to lose that dot for the I. So I'm going to carefully pop this out from the back, and hopefully the I will be okay. Oh, you know what? I don't know if that cut that good. Oh no. I forgot to check that first. Let me see. Oh yeah, it did. So I'm actually going to pull the back of this paper off because that's what's stopping it from popping out right now. So I'm just going to pop it out from the back. And then pull the word miss out. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to poke out these little things that were inside the S and stick those right there for now. Because you can use these to decorate your page if you want to, because they have that ombre look. Okay, so then I'm going to come in with that and I'm just going to stick it, try to get it straight. Okay, so there's the word miss. I'm going to bring this in just a little bit so you guys can see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to pull the backing off of this and poke out that. There we go. And there's the dot for the eye. And then this I just unfortunately throw away because I haven't decided what I could use it for yet. One of these days I may figure that out. Okay. So this one looks like it cut through just a little bit better, but I'm just going to pull the word U up. And same thing, I'm just going to get rid of these little pieces, and these I probably wouldn't use. And then I'm going to take the word U and stick that on there. And then I'm going to actually use the little part that came out of the Y on the U. And I'm going to stick that up in this corner right there. Okay, so there's the front of your card. Pretty easy, pretty cute card, right? So let's do the inside of our card because we kind of want it to match the whole ombre thing going on. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in, I need to make sure this is the right size. Yes, okay. So now what we're going to do is out of that same stamp set, now I'm going to use, oh gosh, I'm always having to go back and forth. Oops, there. Maybe a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to use this stamp set, or that stamp, and it's one whole stamp. But because I couldn't really like do the brayers on here without kind of going, you know, getting everything covered. You know, I didn't try it. I probably could have. But, so what I decided to do was just take my Stampin' Right markers. Yeah, my nails are not ombre too. I know, I'm matching. Okay, so then I just took my Stampin' Right markers and I used the brush tip and I just quickly colored in this stamp. Now the first one, the biggest one I did with Melon Mambo. And then the next one is going to be with the Flirty Flamingo. And again, you're just kind of coloring, and you want to be somewhat careful because you don't want to tear up your brush ends on your, and you want to go fairly quickly, but it's going to dry as you do this. There's really no way to stop that from happening. But that's what we call, for those of you that are new, that's what we call huffing onto our stamps. And so basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the stamp and I'm going to breathe very hardly on it. Very hard. Okay, so I just did a breath. And then I'm going to take this and I'm just going to stamp it in this lower corner. Okay, so that still gives me that ombre effect, but just not mixed in. And you probably could, and I didn't even think about using the brayers on this because then it would have probably given it an even better ombre effect. All right, so there's that stamp. And then let's see. So I put Miss You on the front. And I think I'm going to put the sentiment again from this set that says somebody loves you a lot. That would be a fun card to send somebody right now, huh? Since we can't, you know, see anyone, visit anyone. All right. And I have to be careful because I just re-inked these for this ombre thing. So I don't want to get way too much ink on this. All right, so I'm lining that up at the bottom. And I'm going to try to get that on there straight. Okay, so there's my Somebody Loves You. Let me close up that ink pad. And clean that stamp. You know, it's funny, Terry. I didn't even think that I wasn't even thinking about the fact that I had ombre nails. And I'm doing an ombre class. That kind of worked out good, and I didn't even plan it. I love it when stuff like that happens. All right, so let me stick this back in there and this one back in there. This is actually a really fun set. It's in the annual catalog, and it's the Parcels and Petals set. All right, so then again, I'm just going to bring in my snail adhesive and very quickly get tape on that, get adhesive on that, and then we're going to put that on the inside of the card. I'm just making these really simple, you know, because I know everybody's just kind of home trying to figure out what to do, and these are actually really fun, simple cards to do. All right, so there's the finished card. It says Miss You on the front. Camera is not showing bottom of the screen. I think it's because I have it zoomed in too much. Let me zoom it out. Okay, I'll try to stay at the top. So there's the card. And there's the inside. Cute card. Ta-da! So I'm going to kind of do the same technique again. I'm going to use some different colors, but I wanted to show you how, this was the one that I used for the Flirty Flamingo, and now I'm going to be switching, and we're going to use some purple colors. So you just kind of pull on each edge of this brayer handle, and then I can bring in my other sponge. And remember, these can be washed, so you can reuse them for different colors. So I'm just gonna, like I said, I just need the handles for the other colors that I'm using for the next one. So this is a really good, I mean, you can use this for really any stamp set. I kind of wanted to show you that it was kind of like a border stamp. And so I wanted to show you that one first. But what I'm going to bring in next is the, oh, let's see, I forget the name of it. A Little Lace. So now we're going to use this stamp set, and I'm going to be using this stamp. And I want you to see how cool this one looks done up. And it is the same technique, and so I apologize that I'm doing the same thing. But for those of you that missed the first part of this, you'll get to see me do it again. So this time we're going to be using purples. And you're going to need two 4 by 5 1/4 and a gorgeous grape card base. And then you're going to need a little 1/2 inch strip. All right, so let's get this one going. So again, I'm just going to lay this down here. Well, I want to make sure that's cut right. Okay. This 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to do the whole Versamark thing again. And again, I know you guys can't really see this, and I apologize, but trust me. All right, so I'm going to come in this corner, and I'm just going to stamp that stamp right there. Okay, and when you're doing this at home, because you have, you know, lighting that you can see pretty good, you'll be able to actually see where, and I don't know, see, I think it's too dark. You'll actually be able to see where you stamped and where you can like come back in. So now I'm going to come in this little corner over here and stamp in this corner. All right. And then I'm putting it under the light so that, got to make it a little higher, so that I can see where I've stamped, because I want to bring the stamps in one more time. And I am using the white embossing powder when I emboss. Okay, so I can kind of see where I've already stamped. So I want to go over here and stamp that down. And then I want to just catch this top edge. And again, I'm just kind of moving it in the light to see where I've already stamped. And I want to just bring in this last little bit right there. All right, it looks like I've got it inked up, and I know you guys can't see it, but I can see it. Oh, and I forgot to do my embossing buddy first. Oops. So this one may have a few residual powder on it. I got ahead of myself. All right. So now we're going to bring this in, and again, I'm using my light to kind of see where I stamped. And then I'm just going to kind of start my powder. Let me move this so you guys can see what I'm doing. Start my powder at the top and just make sure that I get a good coverage over everything that I stamped. So I just kind of go down, and then I slowly get it to come off. And this one I'm going to probably have to kind of flick pretty good on the back, since I forgot my stamping, the embossing buddy. All right, so let me move that out of the way. And then, and I don't know if you guys can see, can you see the, yeah, you kind of can. You can see the powder on there. All right. So again, it's going to get loud. I apologize. And you want to let your tool heat up for just a little bit because it just works better. And let me bring this in so I can try to show you what it does. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I'll bring my light back in. All right, so let's try and see if you guys can see it changing. So we're going to start at this corner here. And as it heats up, it actually becomes a glossy finish on it. And I know that's hard to see. Can you guys, oh, I think you can kind of see. Hey. Sometimes the camera angles are hard to figure out. So I'm trying to get it so you guys can see. And I know most of you have embossed, so this is not a new technique, but it's a different way to use your embossing powder. I think sometimes we forget to pull out the embossing powder and use it. And this is just a really fun way to use it. And this does take a minute just to make sure that I got all the edges. So I'm just going to turn that and try not to touch the powder. Because if you touch the powder, it kind of wipes it off. And then you don't get as good of a image when you do that. All right, so let me see. Can you see that? Yeah. Oh, there we go. And you do need to be careful because you don't want to leave your heat gun in the same place for too long because it will burn your paper. All right, I think I've got it. I've just got to look. So basically what you do is you just kind of turn it and make sure that everything's shiny. And that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm just trying to make sure I can see all the shiny. And sometimes I actually will rub it just to see. Looks like I got it. So let me move that out of the way. Move this back out of the way. All right. So now we're going to just do that same technique, but this time we're using purples. And this is actually going to be the top of my card this time. So I need to bring this back in over here. Oh, I get too much stuff over here. I need a bigger space. All right, let me widen this out so you guys can see what I'm doing. So again, I'm using that silicone mat. Hey, Mel. So I'm using the silicone mat to make sure that my stamp pad stays stationary. And again, remember what I said, you want this level, because if you come in at an angle, you will actually dig holes into your stamp pad. So this is Gorgeous Grape, and I'm just filling up that brayer, that sponge, and then I'm just going to bring it over here, and I'm just going to go back and forth. And because this is my darkest color, I want this to be really dark. So this is probably the one that I'm actually going to go over more. Hey, Brianna. I know you love purple. I was thinking of you when I did this card. Okay, so again, we're just going to bring that in, and we want it darker on this top edge. So the nice thing about this ombre technique is that you can make your colors as light or as dark as you want by just putting more ink. So obviously the more times that you come in and do this, the darker it's going to be. And you notice I'm not going back and forth. And the reason I'm not doing that is because for some reason when you go back and forth, it ends up getting on the edges. And so I want it in the middle as well. So that's why I'm only pushing forward to pick up the ink. Okay, so again, I'm still wanting it a little bit darker. It's okay to go back and forth here like I'm doing, but again, it blends a little bit better when you do the push technique first and then roll it back and forth to blend. So you're going to push it on just like you're picking it up, and then you roll it back and forth to get. So I think that's a good darkness for me. So let me close up this one. And remember, don't forget this step. Get your cloth and wipe off, because the ink is resistant to the embossed part. And so it might still be sitting there when you come in with your next color, which is lighter, and you'll end up picking up that color on your sponge dauber and then also putting it in, because you're going back into your ink, you'll put it into that ink pad. Okay, so this is Highland Heather. So again, I'm just going to pick up ink. I'm going to do a little on that side, and then I'm going to turn it on this side. And sometimes it looks like there's not much ink on there, but there actually really is. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to make sure that I'm overlapping a bit. So now I'm going to come in with Highland Heather. And again, I'm pushing it on. And again, like I said, you can just use two colors if you want, because it definitely makes its own third color between these colors. So it makes a different shading. All right, I think I like that. So there's the ombre so far. And then I know a lot of you don't have this third color because it was one of the in colors that didn't work out really good, but I actually got it before they decided to not do it. So this is the in color Purple Posy, which you guys haven't seen a lot because they were having, and you can kind of see, let me show you what some of the issue, I don't know if you can see this, but on this side, it kind of doesn't really retain ink really well. So they were having problems with this color and the ink pad for some reason, and it was just the purple posy. So I don't know what was going on, but I was lucky enough to, I ordered it right away, and so I actually got it. Okay, so again, I'm going to come in so that because I don't want to cover the whole top of the card. And you'll see I made a little smudge right here, but I'm not going to worry about that too much because I'm going to be covering that up with some stuff. And this is a really light purple, this purple posy. Okay, I think we're good. So let me bring that closer so you can actually, I don't know if you guys can see the purple posy. It's really light. In person, you can really see it good. Yeah, the Stampin' Blends, we can get the purple posy and the Stampin' Blends. It was just the stamp pad that they had issues with. And they just couldn't get the ink to actually work the way they wanted it to work and be the shade that they wanted it to be. So Stampin' Up is really particular about that kind of stuff. And if it's not going to match everything that, because they coordinate everything. So yeah, so there we go. So now you can kind of see the purple posy. All right, so for this one, I'm going to go ahead and flip this over. We're going to put this on the card front. We're going to be pretty much doing the same thing we did on the first card, except it's going to be opposite. We're going to put the greeting at the bottom. Oops. But we're going to cut it out like I showed you with the foam mat. And this one, we're also going to emboss part of the greeting. So I wanted to show you that little step. All right, so there it is on the gorgeous grape. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I love purple. Okay, and then I'm going to come in and I'm just going to wipe all that off. Make sure that everything resisted well, okay? So there we go. All right, so now I'm going to bring in my little, remember I told you guys how to do this with those Sissics, yeah, this is how they used to come for Stampin' Up. It was in a big package. They're multi-purpose adhesive sheets. They don't sell them anymore, but I'm pretty sure you can get them on scrapbook.com. Okay, so this is the side with my paper on it. And if you guys missed that part, you can go back and look at it. So this time I want to use the word friend, again, from this really cool die set. This is one of the coolest die sets. I love word die sets. I actually will buy die sets even if it only has one word in it because I just love them. All right, let me move this, bring in my die cutting machine. This is the last time we're going to die cut. Well, that's not true. I lied. Okay. So, yes. So let me put it this way this time. And again, because we've got so many layers, because we've got the paper, and then we've got the adhesive strip, and then we've got the foam, and then we've got the adhesive strip. So there's a lot of layers for this to cut through. And you might find that you need to put a little shim in there if yours is not cutting properly. Just a little piece of cardboard. Yeah, so like that one's not... It did cut all the way through. I can tell it did, but I'm just going to put it through one more time. So a lot of times you can put just like a little piece of, like if you guys get the paper pumpkin, they have these little pieces of cardboard that come in there, and that's enough of a shim. Or even part of this foam, I could cut another strip of that foam and put that foam under there. Okay, so again, remember, when we're pulling this off, we want to be careful because we want it to stay on here. And because sometimes these detailed dies don't do that. Oh my gosh, this this washi tape really stuck. Okay. So again, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut out the piece because again, I can use this. I've got my Whisper White on the front, so I can use this again later. So remember, we want to have your piercing tool and you want to just push it so that it is going to stay on this piece right here, and it's not going to come up when the die comes up. You don't want that to happen. So I'm going to very carefully pull this. Voila, it stayed there. Yay. And then we're going to bring in Gorgeous Grape. Oh, I need that piece of paper. All right, so we're going to bring in the Gorgeous Grape. And again, I'm just going to ombre the bottom. And I want this to be fairly dark. So this one I may go and go pick up a little more ink if I end up not liking how dark I can get it. It all depends on your preference and how dark you want that purple on that wording. But I want this to be fairly dark. Okay, I think that's good for me. So let me bring that closer so you can see. All right, so that's what it looks like. Again, be careful with the little dot on the I for friend. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push out or pull up the word friend. And usually as I'm doing that, the backing, I don't know if you guys can see that, but can you see that the backing, here, let me put my hand there. That usually helps it focus. The backing is staying there, which is what you want, because you want this to be sticky on the back. So I'm just going to pull this up. And I really like it. So what happened is in our paper pumpkin, we got these words that were on foam like this, and I really loved it. And I thought this would be really cool, you know, to make that. And it would be easy enough to make. At least I think it is. You know, we've already got the dies, and that makes it, it's not like I'm having to cut out the word friend by hand, because you guys know how much I love cutting, and that would never happen. Okay, so on this one, I'm going to actually put the friend up high because I'm going to be doing another part of the sentiment below this. Gotta make sure I'm in the camera. You guys are gonna like this last one that I do. It's so quick. All right. So there's that. So can you see that? So then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring in this little strip. Oh, whoop, sorry, hold on. Forgot the dot. Forgot to dot my I. All right. So I'm just going to pull that up and stick that right on top of the I. I always forget the dots on the eyes. I don't know what it is. Maybe I just don't like to dot my eyes. All right, so now I'm going to bring this little white strip in. And I am going to use, where is my stamp set? I have lost my stamp set. Which one am I using? Oh, yeah. Okay, so in this one, it has this little saying down here that says just a little note to say hello. So I'm going to pull that one out. And we are going to be using our Versamark once more. And this is probably the hardest, I have to say, is trying to get and making sure that this is straight. So I'm going to ink this up. Sorry. Ink this up with Versamark. Wonder if I can bring you guys this way a little bit. Yeah, there we go. And then I'm just going to try to get this. Again, I'm going to line it up on my graph sheet so that it's straight. And I'm just going to try to get this as straight as I can on here. And with sayings, I don't like to put like a ton of pressure because it tends to muddy the Versamark. It makes the Versamark ink kind of spread out a little bit, and you don't get as crisp of letters on it. So I try not to put a ton of pressure. All right, but let me just make sure I got it on there good enough. I hope so. Looks like it's on there. We'll see. Okay, so this is the last time for this. So we're going to bring this in here. And again, I'm just going to pour my powder. And this powder, guys, this embossing powder, it goes a long way. You get a lot of uses out of your embossing powder. All right, so it looks like I've got a good coverage on there. I know you guys can't see that, so let me just heat this up one more time. Apologize for the noise. And we're just going to come in, and I know you guys have seen this, so I'm not going to try to get it close up. Just going to try to get this done as quick as possible. So again, we're just embossing, and we're just doing this until we can see it. It goes from a gloss or a dull finish to a glossy finish. Oops. All right, I think we're good. All right, let's shut that noisy thing off. All right, so I'm going to lay this here, and I'm going to bring back in my gorgeous grape because I want it dark. And so now what I'm going to do is, again, ink up. Let me stick this over here so it doesn't move. I'm using that silicone mat because it like holds it still. So now I'm just going to come in, and I'm just going to push the ink on here. And this, again, I'm going to get pretty dark. I want it dark. It's a little bit harder to work with just a little strip. So let's pick up some more ink. Again, make sure you're keeping your sponge braider level when you're on your ink pad so that you don't dig any gouges into your ink pad. All right, so that's this one. I apologize that I didn't think it was going to take this long, but it obviously is. All right. Again, I'm going to bring this in because when you brush this, when you like use your cloth, it actually makes the wording pop a little bit better. So I don't know if you guys can see that. All right. So because I'm such a bad cutter, I'm going to bring my trimmer in really quick. I'm not going to do the inside of this card, but I've already done one ahead of time. So I will show you what I did on the inside of this card, just so that I can get to the last one. And then the last one, I'm just going to show you the technique and then the finished card. So I won't walk you through every single step. So hope you guys are still hanging with me. All right. So I brought that in, cut that. Turn it over. So I'm going to bring this in. And I'm going to use my, if I can find them, my mini Stampin' Dimensionals. And because I want to pop this up as well. Okay. And I'm just going to put some dimensionals. Probably just 4 across this. I can't wait for you guys to see this next card. It's so cool and so dang easy. Okay, so I'm just pulling those off. And then this gives the card a whole different look than that first card. I wanted that up a little bit farther. I got my friend a little down lower than I like, but we'll go with it. All right, so there's the finish of that card. What do you guys think? Aren't these beautiful? And they're really pretty easy to do. And then I'll show you my card that I actually finished so you can see the inside. So I just used this stamp from that set, and I just did it in Gorgeous Grape, and then it just says, you mean everything to me. Okay, so front and inside. Love these cards. Okay, let's go quick on this last one because I know you guys are probably getting bored. So the last one needs a few more pieces. But like I said, I'm just going to show you the ombre technique, and then I'll show you how I put the card together and kind of explain it to you. So this time I am using, in the Ornate Garden suite, the paper, it had this foil paper. Now, any of you that got the foil paper from the celebration, it's the same type of paper, so this will work on that paper as well. All right, so this time I'm going to do different colors. Instead of just all one color, I'm going to do different colors. So I'm going to start out with the Gorgeous Grape and cover the top of this card, or this paper. So again, this is paper that it already has this like metallic shiny. So any of Stampin' Up's paper that you have that is like this technique works on. But this is from the Ornate Garden. So again, I'm just going to push it on. And because this paper has kind of a different, it's like almost like a glossy paper, you'll find that your colors are not going to come out quite as dark as they would on the matte paper. But this paper has like it's got like a glossy finish on the white section of the paper. All right, so I'm getting my purple on here. And then I am using Gorgeous Grape for this. This is just a fun way to color this paper. You can obviously use Stampin' Blends and color it. Works great. I've done that. Okay, so then we're going to come in with the Melon Mambo. And remember, all of these sponges can be washed so they can be reused on other colors. And I just kind of went this right in the middle. Let me see if I've got enough of the coverage on there. I'm going to turn it to this side so I get this edge over here. And this doesn't have to be perfect. That's the other neat thing about this, is you can go fairly quickly. It doesn't have to be perfected. Okay, and so I need to borrow one of my little sponges because I'm using a different color, and I have an extra sponge. And so now I'm going to bring in Daffodil Delight as my third color. Okay, again, make sure you've got this level to the stamp pad when you're inking it up. And you are putting some pressure down. I put my finger right here to kind of put pressure down so it picks up the ink. Okay, so now I'm going to come in with the Daffodil Delight. right. Then I'm going to bring in my little paper and probably go from light to dark. Again, you want to get the ink off of the part that is, even though it resists it, it sometimes will just kind of hang there. And you can end up getting ink on things you don't want ink on. So you always want to have one of these handy cloths available. Okay, so then basically I take this piece and I'm going to back it onto, and I'm going to show you how to do the ribbon because there's a cool technique here, but then I'll show you the finished card. So then I'm just going to put this onto the basic black. Turn this over so I don't get, and this is designer series paper because obviously it's a design on each side. All right, and then I'm going to stick this on here. Just lay it down. And then I'm going to bring in our black satin ribbon, and I just kind of wanted to show you this little technique because it's kind of cool. So you just kind of measure out your ribbon, and I think I did, I don't even know. I just kind of did it so I had quite a bit on each side. And then cut. But I want to show you a really quick way to do the, if you're not a bow, this is like if you're just tying it. So you take your ribbon and you find, because I want my knot to be kind of over on this side, so I'm going to be tying closer to this edge. So basically I'm just going to tie a knot and tie it around my finger, and then I'm going to tie it one more time. And hopefully I've left enough on the edge there. We'll see. All right, go through. Okay, so then I've got this little like loop-de-doop, okay? And I'm gonna pull that tight. Let me put that on my finger again so I can pull it tight, all right? And then you can take this and put your ink adhesive. My words, I'm telling you. This is what happens when I have to self-isolate this long, right? I don't know what I'm talking. Now I'm going to move my paper because I put ink all over this, or adhesive. And I'm going to move my paper or otherwise it would. So I want to make sure that this tie is over on this side over here. All right. So I'm just going to fold that over and then fold this over, and I can cut off the excess. So I didn't quite need that much, but I can always find things to do with my scraps. And then one thing that I always try to do is go back over and make sure that there's adhesive across the ribbon. And then I'm going to bring in Daffodil Delight card base. And stick this on here. And then what you do is you take this and you just cut it, and you've got your tie for your bow. So that's just a really cool waist. But look how pretty that is, just like that. Isn't that beautiful with that shiny paper? That's such a cool thing. And who was it? France Martin actually demonstrated how to use the ombre on this. I got this idea from her. So anyway, so then what I ended up doing was I cut a scallop circle out of black and stuck it behind the ribbon. And then let me show you what I'm talking about. This is what it looks like completely finished. So I have the scallop circle and I placed it behind the ribbon. And then this is from, it's this stamp set that you had to get in the celebration. But I love that it had this, I miss your face, because I miss all of your faces. Okay, so it says, I miss your face on the outside. And then on the inside, it says sending hugs. And then I ombre'd a stamp from the Ornate Garden, or the Ornate Suite. All right, so this is a really quick card. All right, so let me move all this stuff and I'm going to bring in those cards. And sorry I didn't have time to go step by step over this particular card. But hopefully I explained it well enough so you guys understand how I did it. Okay, so then there's this card and then this card. So those are our 3 ombre cards for tonight. So what do you guys think? Yay, Mel, you love the last one. I know, isn't that pretty? Last one was so cool. But do you see how you can just take any stamp set, Versamark it, put the white embossing powder on it, and look what beautiful backgrounds you can make for your cards. And then again, I love this whole, you know, making my own little pop-up word and making sure I ombre that as well and put these on here. So these were tons of fun. They were so much fun. And this one again is using more of a border punch. You know, but just think of all the stamp sets you guys have that you could do this technique with. And think of all of this type of paper that you have, because like I said, I've got the set from Celebration that would look just as pretty. And think about if you did it in blues or greens. Ooh, really pretty. Right? I was feeling pink and purple tonight, guys. So there you go. And that's the, that's learning how to ombre. You can see it's not that hard to do. And like I said, these ombre, these little sponge daubers or sponge brayers, it's these ones right here. They're not that hard to do. So Brianna, okay, so they come with, you get 2 of the holders and 4 sponges when you order 1. I ordered 2 sets because I usually like doing, when I do ombre, I usually like messing with 3 colors. And because when you order 1, you only get 2 of these handles. So I ended up ordering 2 of them. And then I ended up with 8 sponges. But like I said, these sponges, you can, like, I'll go wash these off and I can use these on completely different colors the next time I do this. All right. Shanine, that's funny. So Shanine asked the question, do I ever just not want to send out a card I make because you just love it so much? Yeah. Yes, that is correct. But I do. I end up sending them out, you know, for those special people. But aren't these fun cards right now? Miss you. I miss your face. Friend. You know, sending hugs. You mean everything to me. You know, just think how much fun it would be to make these cards and send them out to someone right now. Because, you know, I'm sure people are feeling the strain of the isolation and would love to get one of these beautiful cards. It would just make their day. So anyway, that's the class for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I taught you guys something. I know I have so many different levels of people that have been stamping, but maybe hopefully even if you've done this before, you forgot about it. And yeah, and Terry made a good point, Shanine. We always keep a sample of what we make. So I always have my card and then I make more to send out to people. So that's a good way to always keep your cards, but then, you know, send them out to people. So again, I hope this was educational for some of you and a reminder for some of you. Everybody have a great night. I appreciate you all taking the time to be here tonight. I miss you guys. I really miss my class. So I'm hoping that in May we can have it. But like I said, if not, we will do the online like we did last time, and I'll send out the kits. Make sure if you want a kit for next month's class that you let me know. And I've sent out to some of you a list of what you will need to do the class. But as always, if you have stamp sets that are similar, you can use those instead of ordering the stamp set. The one thing I will say is I was going to do watercoloring, and I still am doing watercoloring, but I just saw today that the aqua painters are no longer available right now. So if you don't have an aqua painter, you won't be able to do the watercoloring, but you can use Stampin' Blends or markers to do next month's class. Hopefully we can just have it here and it won't be an issue, right? Yay, let's hope for that. Anyway, love all of you guys and have a good evening, and talk to you hopefully soon. I can see your faces.